Hey guys, it's Copycat Rami Yusuf, and I'm about to tell you about the Uighurs in under 5 minutes.
A UN panel says the region resembles a massive internment camp, where more than 1 million Muslim minorities have been rounded up, detained, and forcibly indoctrinated by the Chinese regime. Witness accounts, satellite imagery, and Communist Party documents reveal what appears to be the largest imprisonment of people on the basis of religion since the Holocaust.
Ooh, that did not age well. For those of you who don't know, the Uighurs are a group of Muslims in the Xinjang region of China who've been rounded up and basically imprisoned by the Chinese government in an attempt to wipe off their culture and indoctrinate them into communist beliefs. It's kind of like the Winter Soldier, except no one's getting superpowers, and it's happening to millions of people. Currently, there's an estimate of 1 to 3 million Uighurs in these camps, where it's been reported they've been beaten, raped, and even waterboarded, all without never being put on trial or formally committing a crime. China says they're doing this to combat Islamic extremism. However, when you look at the context of the story, it's actually extremely different. 11 million Uighurs live in Xinjang, an autonomous region in the northwest corner of China, and they have a very unique identity. They speak Turkish and practice Islam, which make them very different from the ethnic Han Chinese, who make up 90% of China's population. It's like Little Huddy and black people. They look the same, but they just got different privileges. Xinjiang is actually an extremely important region for China. Not only does it have abundant resources, but it's also an extremely important trade location. Because of this, it puts China in a very weird spot where they want the land, but they don't want the people. So what do? Yeah, Israel it. China started moving in thousands of Han Chinese into the area, so much so that they went from 6% of the population all the way up to 40%. And like with any mass migration, conflicts between the two groups started to emerge. Not only was there a question of whose land this was, but also because of highly discriminatory practices against the Uighurs, such as allowing only the Han Chinese for high-paying jobs, created huge tensions between the two groups. This toppled with the fact of years of racism, the USSR breaking down, and also massacres of Uighurs created a huge separatist movement among the community. Now that movement broke down in 2009 with huge riots in the capital, where tragically 200 people died, which were mostly Han Chinese. Now, instead of recognizing the geopolitical and ethnic tensions between the two groups, China decided to do what the whole world has done: blame it on Islam. It was at this point that the crackdown on the Uyghurs started, and it increased steadily, especially with the coming of Xi Jinping in 2014.
When his president, Xi Jinping, came to power and instituted what was called the Strike Hard campaign against violent terrorism in 2014. And think of it as the Patriot Act on steroids, because all of a sudden, Uyghurs started being treated like they were all potential terrorists. In fact, Xinjiang is now one of the most heavily policed areas in the world.
They live in a police state, where they're monitored by one of the most advanced and intrusive surveillance systems in the world.
In Xinjiang, cameras can track you from anywhere. The police can force you to stand in front for biometric scanning. They can force you to download tracking devices on your phone and also watch every single one of your messages. It's kind of like Life 360, but on crack. I mean, this stuff is expensive, so why do it? Well, it's all in order to make the Uyghurs more Chinese. And the step one of that is by enforcing highly discriminatory laws that ban and destroy Uyghur culture from where it starts. For example, Uyghurs cannot have Islamic names. Their children cannot go to mosque and instead probably have to go to a boarding school where they have to learn about the Chinese Communist Party. And also there have been reports of forced sterilization, stopping women from even having kids altogether. And while that already seems bad, what's even worse is when they use this technology to monitor extremism. Any one of these basic Muslim practices can justify them throwing you into a camp because of your extremist beliefs. It's so bad that the CFR stated that often the only crime that they commit is being a Muslim. And if you think that's a low bar to take people away from their families and basically throw them into concentration camps, you're about to be surprised. China posted a list of 75 extremist behaviors, and on that list, I am not joking you, is conducting business as usual, storing and purchasing large quantities of food, and also acting abnormal. You know the bar for extremism is too low if DJ Khaled would be put into one of these concentration camps. And that's a problem, because he's the best. And if you're wondering, Samir, why are they trying to send DJ Khaled away? Why is the bar so low? It's so they can justify sending millions of Uyghurs away from their homes and into camps so they can not have a separatist movement in the area. For example, it was reported that just in 1 week, 24,000 people were deemed as extremists and 15,000 of them were actually sent to camps. So that begs the question, what goes on in these camps? Well, it's phase 2 of the plan. Try to make them more Chinese.
These camps are de facto prisons, and people have to go in them. They don't have a choice. They're separated from their families, and inside they undergo basically political indoctrination. So that can include having to sit for hours and listen to speeches by Xi Jinping, or singing patriotic songs, or listening to lectures about the party.
These camps are designed to remove any of your culture and try to make you as much as part of the Chinese government as possible, so that when they send you back to Xinjiang, if they do, that you are a model citizen and you won't try to have any separatist ideas. Even if you think you're built different and you're gonna stand up to your oppressor, that's a stupid idea, because number one, the Chinese government decides when you get out of the camps. So that means defiance means you won't see your family. Number two, defiance actually puts your family in danger of being put into other different camps. And number three, they torture you.
Мынаған келгенше басыма төк таяқтан ұрған. Сол сөйтіп шыққанға жарай басымызға төк таяқты жегенде, рахмет мұғалім, ендігі жол кешікпей отырам деп айтамыз.
Each time I was electrocuted, my whole body would shake.
Bir gün ойлайдығынымыз біз өттіріп өтмісіз болды дейді.
And look, those stories are all too common as more and more people are speaking out against what's happened in these camps. And you have to understand the bravery of these people. Whenever they testify, they put not only themselves at danger, but their family. Even if they go to like the US and testify there, the Chinese embassy will try to bring them back to China just so they can put them back into the camps. It's a disgusting cycle and it needs to be stopped. And no one's doing anything about it. So obviously China's got to respond. Well, they did this. They first denied their existence all the way up to 2018. Then, when they realized they couldn't do that anymore, they tried to rebrand these camps as education centers or schools and started doing staged tours of the areas to show how amazing it was, which somehow made it worse.
China used to deny that these places exist. But now we're being given a tour. This is what it wants the world to see. And this is how thoughts are transformed, and the replacing of faith and cultural identity with a different loyalty. I love the Communist Party of China, this man has written.
China, you really need a new marketing director, bro. This is how China tries to control the information domestically, and they're pretty bad at it. I mean, look at how sketch this is. So imagine what happens whenever they're confronted internationally in lands like the UK or the US. For example, watch the Chinese ambassador to the UK react whenever he's confronted with information and video proof of shackled Uighur Muslims being pushed into camps.
Almost certainly over northern China, over Xinjang. Can you tell us what is happening here?
I cannot see.
You can't see it? It's a giant screen TV, not John Cena. And I promise you, it actually gets worse.
Xinjiang yourself?
No, I never have.
You know, Xinjiang is regarded as the most beautiful place in Xinjiang. There's a Chinese saying, you do not...
I mean, it's crazy. They look so stupid, but somehow it's actually working. Even the number of Uighurs that have actually been put into the camps, we don't know. Estimates are all the way from 1 million to 4 million, and recent reports say it's even higher. And obviously, as the days go on, it's just getting worse. More Uighurs are being sent to camps, and China has even started a new program where they take Uighurs, drop them off 5,000 miles away from home, and force them to work in manufacturing plants. Remember how everyone's talking about forced labor in China? Yeah, it's Uighurs, and American companies are taking advantage of that. So all of this is going on. But thankfully, we got the UN, bro. The UN is literally supposed to handle stuff like this. Okay, they're gonna sanction them, they're gonna send troops, they're gonna send a letter, a strongly worded letter to stop them. Freaking useless, bro. Okay, so the UN is useless. We knew that. So the power is actually really in the US and the UK. And that's really scary because our former president, Trump, stated to Xi Jinping that he should continue with the concentration camps because they're the right thing to do. So while it may look bleak, we actually have a new president coming in. And we also have the Senate working on a lot of bills to help the Uyghur cause. And surprisingly, there's a lot you can do too. I mean, this is the new Holocaust. We said never again. But yet the same thing is happening. And it really comes down to what you want to do. There's a link tree in the description, has a lot of great resources. Donate, sign some petitions, spread some more awareness. Look, the way I thought I'd contribute is make a video. So the question I have for you is, what can you do? Because if you're fine sitting back down while something like this is happening, then I just don't know what to say.